Your Classico no enya fall say and just so be attention usually no European football we've always been saying say El Clasico no a level above many of the games even at the early stage in the crowd so we discuss rival matches and I say derby games in the the nature of those games and do the way to El Clasico but for instance talking about Manchester United and Liverpool we know say gone are the days so we a far power but right now because of Manchester United 1 or 2 technical transitions and all of that sources are at a premium and so level of Liverpool above run and say Manchester it has really affected that matchup we can also talk of for Inter Milan and AC Milan Kaneno you can say Bibi Besia now open match Bibi betimi si wo mu ana ye Milano because Inter and AC Bishia it has always been a far power but El Clasico not maintaining that level of relevance for a very long time yeah kwa say you born a friendly match ni bia
yes
unya she jesi no nko ade na bibia ba bewura mu my key observations in the game no na mpese me hwe o share ade na wa na aka kire say Barca contingent na ba be drew na no 7:30 and all of that and the pictures back community bia kokko so my observation from the game number 1 say and now 4 central defenders started here no none of them and a demonstrated an attitude of an elite center back
within
that game of a classical
so both teams in now
in terms of 4
okay
way two
okay
we had to we Asensio no ne partner Dean in Spanish guys and Barca so El Kubasi and the Garcia partner no 4 yo none of them we are in a World Cup year ye countries back and 9 be a semi-final yeah you already home so say pick countries but we could do the semi-final of the World Cup and found say you will still be calling out for Spain. One, for them being an European champion, the kind of players are more producing right now. But imagine say in a final third, or more players with me midfield is a bit okay for me for Spain, but defense in the day. And she been crying. Now the Adina Sako Bioso say center backs on 1-1. Only obi obeti make some me leader e wa kire ha me kan wo beti omunyina yakọ boss pepepe
okay
Garcia better ka so control Dean Heisen better ka say oni Kubasi ne bo control Kubasi how a Kubasi ni Dean Heisen
you say bia le no more free on class e be shame
that is the point but le no man bo a subpar club as compared to Barca and Madrid. It's a love way there. For club because check. Apart from some leaders, no more dominant. Because a dominant. Some as I tell me them who canon. And your boy kind of 50-50 on the street. So 50-50 no why never win a ball no sad situation you don't win. But talk about Ramos in duels they won. Puyol they won duels. PK never won a duel but he was so exceptional on the ball. During the first phase for Del Bosque, Piqué on the driver ball, and the best free. The defensive base were not the court, no Puyol and Ramos side. Actually, it was why the manager found a way. So about Piqué and then Ramos, Puyol not ball Ramos, all right back. But this point, what has been that exceptional element for we say deba? It's Paul Torres money, Lino Mamono, or would that's what our picture in this conversation. But now my dream say, "I can't dream Barca die. O to be started ball as a center back there. It's like I call share last team smooth, but none of them any impress me. Apart from this, there's also one other side of the game, and I'm sure. But I would want to quote the presentation. Lewandowski said, "Real Madrid played a low block. This is purely technical. Low block means any partner you use to block the man no. Block is a technical term." But you use so low, just say, no matter the person or mobile manim. There are 3 lines of defense. The natural defensive line, midfield and attack. Now, on Lewandowski, the person just say, impo attacking where the first defensive line that comprises of Vinicius, Garcia and Rodrigo. No money now born a chi. Falling so deep. I won't try say, as to why I won't person be any low block Lewandowski air cannon. I don't know. But my main friend say opposition player to be an all cancer one in the form. Yeah, sure your Kotoa Susuka Hasi. We deserved to win the second half. We could have perfectly won the match. In the first half, perhaps we were too cautious.
Yeah.
Kotoa on to win Kasembia, my one name, Yankosun Alonso say, Yakobo defensive game. The fact Kotoa is so cautious, not just say, no, you throw kakra. In Jeffrey Lewandowski, the assessor we use low block.
Yeah.
Now, Shadrach can fall line up on to Sonaman Cancha Luso, make Casam Kakrancha Luso. Why would you decide to go for a free with a raw, a two traditional DMs in Chouameni and then Camavinga? A Huntiana. Now, the Asa, a man who shoot in the photo and say, or Sadi Belliam, a so, a man by a free man method of Chouameni, Camavinga, and then the Belliam, no, Okun Hokra. Chouameni and a Camavinga, when the progressive ball from the first phase. Who does that job? 2. So the Belliam about method, the number 2 we say, you are telling Belliam to play as a playmaker. But Obia onim Frank Lampard, Obia onim Steven Gerrard, no, onim say these were 2 players they wanted to act like box to box. It's all limited to say Frank Lampard pass him out be play make for somebody. What would the person channel? They don't do that. Jude Obenya Anaka or Bo Emmanuel or a very close to the final third, or yet it's a second striker, second and number 10 bisa. But then he was playing like a natural 8, of which I don't know any profile number 8, but he doesn't work like that. Yes, I know. Yeah, Sajumano. It wouldn't show many Camavinga Bacano. Then the team is so reserved, so conservative. And this is Xabi Alonso. Only the Madrid people expect to say, yeah, ube big game num abo. Argentina na Adagula bench. In my opinion, a more conventional 4-2-3-1 with Adagula and Chouameni. Na Freno, I have Vinicius, Jude, and Rodrigo, na Garcia, no other anymore. So instead of 4-3-3, it should have been 4-2-3-1. Now I convert it into 4-4-1-1, where Jude will stay behind Garcia. Now Vini, Rodri, Abimu, no you 2 no in Adagula and Chouameni. A Basana because of Adagula, Utiminya Bonako, passes can flow in a final third quite often as 2 say Obo Chouameni and a Camavinga. But according to Thibaut Courtois, I see ni hu womu kakra, and it really reflected in the first half about almost 75% of possession. Nabasafono, and all of that. But this is the problem. Thibaut Courtois and Semna Wakano Asanya for fraud Yamal also. We didn't take advantage of this version of Vini Jr. Today.
To me,
he was a nightmare for them, and we didn't take advantage of it. How do we? Okay, so I know you have a question, but the person said this version of Vinicius, I want to take advantage of. We no critique problem na dia to who or am for any yankoso. Thibaut is telling us say this version of Vini is a take advantage by your game na we nti ho na me be. Now what he's trying to put across is say there's a certain version of Vinicius be without Mbappe bet me a function. Now who is supposed to get the best out of these 2 players?
Send the coach now, the man in charge.
The biggest problem for Xabi Alonso right now is to design a functioning system that can get the best out of Vinicius and then Kylian Mbappe, the 2 best forwards of the side. Sade lie na onya bibi free Mbappe ho anu ni we nya asem we ni ho a no onya bibi free Vinicius no. These 2 guys will be ready and fit for the second half of the season. He himself, Xabi Alonso, along with Jude, 3 players he has to design a system to fit them. Other than that, I am telling you, so Alonso, more than this season or Spain. If anybody knows me, I've been following Spanish football for a long time. El Clasico. Atletico Madrid Hetafe 10, Las Palmas 20. But El Clasico has been a determinant game in the futures of these coaches. They know. It will be Super Copa no. By Basaba League, Alonso has to make a very big statement. Away from Madrid, the Madrid chairman said, Barca team, the missing puzzle, no, Julian Alvarez. Sebastian Julian Alvarez ba be share Lewandowski position no a team na ho de no kosoro. Apart from that, Kunde also convinced me against Madrid and Ra as to why Omosa su Chelsea Joao Cancelo no. Kunde a very very bad one-on-one situation. So no so who the Vinicius here no. Apart from that, they are the part out they can't Lamine game no. So when you winger tormenting or ntimi nja no ho nko. Yes winger no so born ni dili o. So winger no ha adwene a ono Kunde ni ntimi ntwamu nko. Ba winger no so beto no obewu akowura box no. Nti water isolate Lamine e top pa. Na obo Lamine Cancelo dia only say line so be more slippery as compared to Kunde and then Lamine. And it tells me why Barca echo for Joao Cancelo because he adds a lot in the final third. Ama Lamine who had to know. He underlaps and overlaps at the same time. But Kunde, what does he really offer? But the team of Barcelona, no, in my little opinion, Julian Alvarez, better the final third. Lamine, Rafinha, Femin or Omo in the number 10 or in the whole, no.
Now, Julian Alvarez say
LED line, no. This team is almost done. Sada mi huno. One Garcia will go posting no. Center backs in the main for pressure mom. Jerry Martin future pa. Araujo, I mean who the future no Barca, they will sell the guy out. Ome Manako. Ome Jaro Manako. But the imagine the Barca team no because I don't know more game room pa. But Lewandowski to be 90 minutes because he can't press, he can't really move. The mobility index and not drop as compared to Ferran Torres. But in terms of finishing instincts in the box, being a predator there, only Lewandowski was also saying Ferran Torres. But Julian Alvarez brings the two on the table, or to be running or movement to say, so to be finish it. And they kind of say the prototype number 9, the Samuel Eto'o, Lewandowski na Suarez mo type no. Ball no ye poor pass out me young word must share.
Yes.
Giroud mo de ka de to ha ka me pe. They are na we Giroud do to na ni fa. Is a kukuru kuru sa ba benkum so Lukaku mu nyina you know. But Alvarez, Suarez, Eto'o, David Villa, ball no ye bad pass e kra no a obetumi asa ye ho adwuma ansa no the ball no atonate. This is the puzzler. Barca fo nya no be share omo attack ho no ma. With Rafinha America, Rashford the support to Lamine ne Rooney Bajimo, the team will be good. When for Classico dia no ensu ho no na menhwe ketua bi on the AFCON for the 8th edition in a row. The defending champions of the Africa Cup of Nations are fairly so be defending the title no. It is Samedoko 2010 no. Egypt wantimi me defend was Zambia ntimi me defend or Nigeria ntimi me defend Ivory Coast, Algeria, Senegal, it was also ba and the last one it was we ya confirm the Hugo Bruce kind Africa Cup of Nations usually of course dependent so much on the local contingent, but yeah, it has changed. And Canina near fat coach from Poma some free fee bebre fat coach go see apiamo yeah fat amass and gamo from House of Folk to be fast afujan from all these players yeah plaque from your clubs and the corner. Yeah, it has changed. Hugo Bruce also emphasizing on why South Africa would have to really fish out for players a free top level leagues in the MOBA. And should be a semi-final like can once no. Look at countries what even the semi-final. Analyze the pairings. Morocco comes up against Nigeria. We BBC oh Marrakesh, Rabat, BBC one more. This is a game of the African picking point in terms of the AFCON. So imagine how say unlike years before, about to Tony say and Obekase I think he was last week. Okase be say new you tell you pass a yanko AFCON. Seke koya ka be embarrass because you koya because enkoji sasa na
as the team singing na obia modern bono e wosro
your performance in wosro me your parents be what say and it was so crazy. I think I've lost it here, but me your parents be our semi-finals na eba no. And any of the parents in bet me a quarter final all right too. But those parents in be a match up for a certain final. And just where we are. Imagine him said Nigeria and Morocco game no Wednesday. I would have more time on that. And then Senegal and Egypt. My catch festival say a revenge the mass and money. And I say there be Mo Salah mum so revenge money because omo gifre won am say there be sa pass na wan fa man wo Liverpool no money je tight no fa free Mo Salah say no fa revenge no. That is so yeah
Mate me da say new my promise are where answer na ba Steve Meza.
Yes, yeah, me initiative for you. And I think say first of all, me start war Europe and I'm the baby real Africa said the new thing here, you know. But I think the El Clasico came on Saturday. Make I say I've never seen an El Clasico in the last few months closer to predict than we see. And I think the scoreline was really clear. 3-2. The performances. First half 4 goals. 2-2. Ubia clinical, but it took one person to be the difference between the two sides, which is who? Rafinha. For Xabi Alonso, me the statement after the game, and Yawuti the statement after the game, I said this is another game that they've lost. Definitely, there are other trophies they have to fight for. We use the word Krampus as a trophy we no mako jene cry.
And the most important.
And the most important trophy. Xabi Alonso, we the wadaroma. Barca jene they important. There's no friendly match between these things. And Real Madrid now will be coaching. Every single trophy counts. Just maybe I'm taking it say in front of the media. He needs to make a statement. Sometimes managers do some of these things, but in reality, Chairman, this is a trophy that really meant something to Real Madrid, especially Abrabas and Asho back to back. AGDSU or Monaso. Yes, maybe for rivalry's sake, you can be at the mention as an can't say me, but in reality, yeah, this is another level for Hansi Flick. Any day watch TV. Fish of Barcelona, how many trophies now? He has literally turned a club that was a laughing stock in Europe to become a club. Now they don't see them as minnows again. Barcelona was so sure Sapomusu because on bit my that was not one of the best selections I've seen Hansi Flick make in a game. First of all, I was surprised this was a game Okuma. Why Gerard Martin started as a centre back? Rather, Frankie de Jong, Eric Garcia as a centre back, partnering Pau Kubasi. Just in case, say Bia na or has the balance attacking trio of Gonzalo Garcia, Vinicius Junior mo ebe disrupted the Barcelona centre backs. And so Okobo Gerard Martin a bit more hard drink. But this was one particular game I was expecting him to take the risk and start Gerard Martin, but unfortunately went to me and yet Emma Garcia be boy. So look at how they considered certain goals and the Real Madrid created certain chances against them. Not saying Garcia is a bad player, not saying Kubasi is a bad player, but I think in recent games Kubasi ne Martin Nabono, you see more balance than Garcia and Kubasi yede. Ebo. For Real Madrid, they took in more risk, especially looking at the centre back pair. Chances Libiweba, Ebimba. But Vinicius Junior from that angle picking up airplane when the room abetikano. Amo Masa Kwasa abetikano was a sheer quality of top mentality at Real Madrid dynasty within that space of time. But then was more relaxed in the second half. But Barcelona, the firepower they carry, especially with Rafinha as part of this team. Yo, they be a same way Mesa cases to be say, not every king wears a crown.
Okay.
And Rafinha keeps on delivering that message to the world. The biggest winner under Hansi Flick of Barcelona is no other person than Rafinha. What winning chain Obia what team Nimubia. And the number speaks for itself. Now, Abama Barcelona for some no more can during the league first match no more boti Real Madrid no. The first El Clasico no.
Okay.
Barcelona fans make a starting statement to be said, na Rafinha ni intina mo share. Then he comes back. Then in a game at 2-2, he steps out again and Barcelona wins the game.
Yeah.
So he has proven to be the difference maker in the Clasico games. And Nesaya Daso. Only Barcelona team wana so mo bre. Now it is a Rafinha team. Rather than anybody in the Barcelona setups team, in terms of pressing, in terms of chances creation, In terms of goal scoring, he's the leader of this side, and the results proves for itself.
In the time na as a Barca results and yes the musipen na obeto so Rafinha no. I'm say no mudika.
Why establish that fact within the performances?
Yeah.
There are two things a player you can do to establish a fact about you so you're a good player. One, your presence. Two, your absence. The entire one, your presence. Two, your absence. In your absence, team will be struggling. In your presence, what's a problem now? Team facing in your absence, solved. And I think for Rafinha, he has proven beyond reasonable doubt. Say as it stands, he is the most important player in the Barcelona team. No other player comes closer to Rafinha in terms of importance of Barcelona team. He makes them tick. And a certain energy be on the bad team is totally different. And Real Madrid, El Clasico, and Real Madrid ball game no. Obi catch us Real Madrid and ball game no be. Real Madrid played well. And I said something about the first leg. Okay, Omubo league ni me say Saya Clasico we dey match dey muzu. Yes. But I think this is the best Real Madrid game I've watched on my ball Clasico nim. You find so say me rank top 3 and top 4 crown, but we better so be 3rd and 4th.
Like recent
El Clasico games no my bono. They performed well. Just that few mistakes, individual errors here and there. And but you could see an intent. Our Real Madrid team, they were intentional about this game. Said they wanted to do something. Alvaro Carreras born a tornado attack. He can't say fufro. Yeah, so who's a chance no?
Yeah, it's a bit too cry.
A tornado attack and he can't say fufro. So that should tell you the level of performance at Real Madrid had done a D in that game. But it's all about overturning some of these results into a good stuff. Now, me Newton didn't come over to they say Barcelona example na mema. You didn't come on with China make a chance say Newton. Whatever Arsenal will do this season, some person Omuji League and other trophy said don't anymore. Omuji EFL Cup. Yes. Minister Steve O'Crasso this and come on say no, a very important Omuji EFL Cup. And I started example for Steve O say Liverpool team now season bedroom maybe no more for competitions. So Omuji EFL Cup now, trust you me, can Liverpool be 3/4 and a 4/4.
Okay, see.
The reason why I'm saying that in here, say, whenever a team is playing in a season, no mudrum rebi na say trophy be tifri omusema ya obiane ni suban de. But I think when you win a trophy as early as maybe February match, a catalyst the mount in terms of how I be fighting for other trophies and that with him. What did they mention as no? Obi one more lose some of these trophies in so a catalyst man is had there was soon na bema say bunati ayira. For example, what happened to Liverpool? After someone did that EFL Cup na Newcastle United show. After that, now some bibi omo bobiane de baba from biana we are na yira. League no match bunda da. Ano mo digi league no. Iti wo check here. Jose Mourinho by England say ya. Jose Mourinho first trophy on fan niago New Year so by EFL Cup. Because season no a pickidru stage be a February once above EFL Cup in February, January, February. The a February ending. So February ending, no so the league top other year. Or Champions League quarter final more other year. Or FA Cup maybe a quarter final more other year. So winning that a push you mentally players a pion metiko. So for Barcelona, they can pick up the pieces from this win. It is not only a win for Barcelona, but definitely this can be a catalyst for them to push further for other trophies. I'm not saying they will win, but a catalyst will push you among the renewed hope said there be. And to also a renewed hunger. For Real Madrid, it can be two things. Either it breaks them or it brings a different version of Real Madrid out to fight for the other trophies. But the Real Madrid, I know, trophy way more mabem. I know Sebastian but for a club like Real Madrid, if this doesn't turn out to be a catalyst for them to push for further trophies, I'll be very surprised.
Yes, we know how almost season.
And any one say how almost season, say and how almost season.
Yes.
But any one say how almost season. So I'm speaking from two different angles. One from the Barcelona angle, that way a catalyst the more almost said Debbie Yajibako, a renewed hunger for another trophy. But for Real Madrid, any one say we bu mabem. Eh ya dear, Nemo, when to me and your catalyst so push Real Madrid, my trophy won't come so and your mama uncle did the academy anymore. And then I'm in the BC. So they'll need to push further forward. They can't afford to go trophyless. At Real Madrid, we are managing now trophyless. Our question is very easy.
The Arsenal here, Carabao.
May have said the Arsenal there was Moji Carabao no at all costs. Say semi-final number one.
Yeah.
Was Moji. Arsenal je Carabao na. Also, on my bread trophy je who after the FA Cup. Mikel Arteta buy. How many players na that's what Arsenal team Moji is at trophy nibi. Or the Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, David Luiz, Pierre-Emerick Sakamu, Alexander Lacazette. And the Arsenal current trend of players no mudi omobo boni nyina ne yawo. Obi enu hono ma waka se mabo Arsenal je trophy wo. This Emirates Cup. Pre-season game and a community shield bi no ma bobo bi age. But so mutimi ji EFL Cup na yawo. The confidence going into the last round of games in the league. And the confidence going into certain games in the Champions League in the yawo. On because the Kai project na fa Mikel Arteta unfunny be within the next few weeks in Nangu EFL Cup no so. I bet Danny the season it will turn things around. Oh yes. When Manchester United had a bad season under Jose Mourinho in the first season, Omoji EFL Cup no hwede finish the season the Europa League. Ten Hag buy and then the first trophy odi kaje na dey.
Yeah, Carabao.
Hwede real season no. Yow. These trophies, they are catalyst. Arsenal project in the Drew baby are some of these trophies. And also to me, Pion City Pep Guardiola no fast on your way near group. Pep Guardiola how many times have I did the EFL Cup? Or Jenny February and then push it team no. It pushes them to a different level. It to me trophies are born within January, February, everybody no. I'm happy for Barcelona. Arsenal should prioritize this and work hard.
Is it my idea pa?
Yow. You see, now no me catch you say sacking of the manager and the was say Pamo Ruben Amorim because Man United adwuma resource oriented. What they mention as but I establish